Another SAT prep problem. This is 3.8.16, which using our notation is practice test 3, section number 8, problem number 16 on page 551 of the SAT prep book. Again, this is the last problem in the section. It is a grid-in problem, and it is, because it's the last problem in the section in the old SAT, it means it is one of the hardest problems in the entire test. So we have this pattern of tiles that have a length L and a width W, so the longer side is L, and so this is an L by W, and then sometimes some of them are oriented in the other direction where it's L by W, but they're the same size. The pattern above is completed to cover a rectangle that is 12 L units long and 10 L units wide. How many of these rectangles, meaning the L by W, are needed? Not this whole rectangle, but each one of these little rectangles. So the trick is that we were given these measurements in L's, right? 12 L's and 10 L's, right? So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to recognize a couple things. We're going to have to recognize how we convert these L's to these W's to L's. So the first thing that I want us to notice is that in terms of the length, right? So in terms of this length, right? We want a length of 12 L units, and each one of these little grids has 2 L's. So it seems likely that we're going to need 6 of these going up and down, right? So like 6 of these little grids going up and down, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Where this whole thing is one of these grids, right? Like that's one of the pattern, right? And we should need 6 of them. But then the larger question we have to deal with is what are we doing about the left and right? Because unfortunately, although this is in 10 L units, this is not an L, this is in a mix of L and W. So the trick part of this question is that we need a ratio to relate the L length to the W length. And the ratio comes from right here because these sides have to be the same length because they're rectangles. So 2L has to be equivalent to 3W, meaning that if I want to replace this W, I can do it by using a 2/3 of L, right? So I get that W is 2/3 of L, which means that this side, right? So the width of the pattern, right? The width of the pattern, right? Is W plus L, which seems to be 2/3 L's plus another L, right? Or if we clean that up just a little bit and make everybody over 3's, that's 5/3 L. Right? Because that's 3/3 L. So the width of this pattern, just like this was a 2L, this seems to be a 5/3 L. Well, the way I figured out that I needed 6 of them, if I had a 2L and I wanted 12 L units long, was that I realized that I divided 12 L by 2L and got 6, right? So again, the way I got the 6 was that I did the 12 L that I wanted, right, over the 2L that the pattern covered, and I realized, oh, I need 6 of the patterns going up and down. Well, I can do the same trick here, right? I can take the, I'm going to give myself a little bit of space, right? I can take the 10L that I want, right, and I can divide it by the 5/3 L that is in the pattern, right? And if I clean this up, I get 10 times 3/5, because when we divide by 5/3, we times by 3/5, and I end up getting 6. So it turns out that I also need 6 going in this direction. So it seems to me that I'm going to need 6 of the patterns going up and down, right? So we'll angle this up a little so you can see what I mean. I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the pattern going this way, but I'm also going to need 6 of this pattern. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the pattern going this way. So what seems to be happening here is that if I'm not mistaken, I have a grid where there are 36 of these boxes, but in each one of those 36 boxes, it looks like this. So there are 36 of the pattern, right? And I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes in the pattern, right? There are 5 boxes in the pattern. So I must need 36 times 5. Now you can do 36 times 5, and it's an SAT, so you have a calculator. But just as an interesting side note, it's way easier to treat this as an 18 times 2 times 5, because that's an 18 times 10, which all of us can comfortably do in our head. I need 180 of these tiles, which is answer E.